All right, Coach Lowery, myself here at Bourbon Baker. Coach, I'm not making this up. As I drove over here, as I sat here, I wanted to think of a creative way to start this because everyone's going to ask about, hey, thank you very much. Everyone's going to ask about what it feels like, and we'll get to that. So I want to start at a weird place with your guys' rebuild, obviously. And I know you guys never lost hope or never lost faith and always believed, but what was the toughest part of that rebuild that makes what's happened so rewarding?
Well, I mean, it was all tough, but the toughest part was probably just the day-to-day dealing with the doubt that was going on around you.
Yeah.
There was a lot of doubt, but, we circled the camps for 2 years and just kept our head down and just coached our guys. And, all along, I just said, hey, just bleed purple with us. Give us a chance. Just you can't, when you start over, you got to be patient. And we knew that we could rely on those three of the young guys. And, obviously when Wes and DJ are seniors, we get over the hump a little bit. And now as juniors, they really get over the hump.
Right.
And, we finish fourth, and then we go to the Elite Eight and establish some certain things in the program that we follow up in and then made even better in another year. But for our players having to hear stuff about what was going to happen, that was the hardest thing for them. As adults and as professionals, we're capable of dealing with that because, it's part of what we do.
Yeah.
Just on their side of it, it was hard for them.
I'm sure that you had faith in these kids from the day you recruited them, the day you met them, and that kind of stuff. This could be hard to answer off the top of your head, but is there a game or a practice memory or something back early in their career, freshman, sophomore year, whatever, where you thought, wow, this is going to work, and they're over the hump and they figured this out, and this is going to work out?
Well, you'd be lying if we said, yeah, we didn't know that. We knew that Barry could score a little bit. We knew Cam could shoot, and we knew Dean was super talented. But when they were freshmen, everybody thought Cam was the best.
Right.
And Cam had the best freshman year until he got hurt. And then those other two are on an all-freshman team. So, the amount of time and experience they got in that freshman year, all three of them, we just felt that if they got older, we would be really good.
Yeah.
Because they knew they were quickly learning how to play how we play. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. But all three of them grasped our defensive stuff right away and understood what we wanted from them. Defensively, so that side of it, they were good.
Yeah.
The physical grind of the league just crushed them as freshmen, and now then they go into their second year and they get a little bit better, a little bit stronger, and we keep fighting and you keep fighting, put some wins together, and you get in the playing game.
Yep.
And then as juniors, their bodies are right, they're up to par, they're where they need to be physically. They're slowly maturing into the players that we thought they could be now. The last 2 years, and that's when you've done well as a staff, evaluating guys and putting pieces together when they actually gel and you see them grow together.
You talk about, the day-to-day of that process and of the rebuild in general. You look at the way you guys won this league. You guys tied for the league at 4-2. That would have been 12 games ago. You were the only team in the league that dealt with the pressure of being in first from that point through the end of the year. How challenging was that day-to-day part of it?
Well, it's not challenging when you got a guy who's been through it as many times as Coach Weber's championships, in the Big Ten as an assistant, then Southern Illinois, and then our staff. We understood what it meant to play out of first, and sometimes that's hard for a fan base to understand when we did all these things and they weren't at Kansas State.
Yeah.
But when you've gone through leagues and you've been first and you played for conference championships several times, it's easier for our guys not to panic because we didn't, and we never let them feel like we're in trouble because we're in first and we got to hold it for a long period of time.
Yeah.
We just told them 1-0. When we were 0-2, we were just like, our next thing is to be 1-2 guys. That was our approach. We didn't make them panic, and and that's the craziness about it. That West Virginia game is the deciding factor of our season. Guys saying, hey, okay, we don't know how long Dean's out, but we got to change, man. And, Barry standing up, being the leader he is, and saying that, along with X and Carter. So, we really stood up and just fought from halftime of the West Virginia game to the rest of the season.
So from that point, like you said, you're 0-2, you're down 21. From that point on, you go 14-2. You would go 7-1 on the road in that point, 7-2 overall in the league. And I think that was the thing. Winning a league is going to impress anybody, but the fact that you guys we're so good in the league when a team like Kansas, who's talented, goes 4-5 or 3-6 or whatever it was in the league. How was your team able to block all that stuff out every time out away from home?
Well, we're older. We'd failed as freshmen, failed as freshmen, had a little success, and we taught them what winning on the road was about and how to do it and what was the approach, because they didn't know. And you can say it all you want, and you can, but until they learn how to do it and learn what to expect and learn ebb and flow of a game, what shots you can take on the road are different than the shots you can take at home. And it's hard for a young player to understand that, and they don't understand that. But when you got our older guys, upset on the road about, hey man, don't shoot that. Yeah. That's when you got them, and they're like, yeah, you're right, that's a bad shot, my bad, and we just move on. When you have everybody back, and I said this before, it's hard to make people change roles, and for our guys to do what we did, and they not change roles very much at all. Yeah. But to still get 2 on first team and still get 2 as honorable mention, we did get better because we won the league.
Right.
And getting them to understand, be in your same role but be better at it, we got them to do that. And that was the hardest thing. And from the beginning of the season, after Christmas to the start of the league, and then as it transitioned on, guys got better in their roles, and then we were able to take off.
I keep asking similar questions about how you manage it all at once, but I think back to the last 3 or 4 games. You guys had what felt like a chance at Lawrence, where everyone kind of felt like if they win this, it's all over. It doesn't go your way that night. I thought Barry seemed as dejected in postgame as I'd seen him this year, but then you guys went out after that. How rewarding is that to get after that night, and how frustrating that probably was as a coach to win out and win the league?
We know we didn't play the right way at Kansas. We lost our minds, basically, and we didn't play the way we had been playing, and that cost us. And, we just talked to the seniors about, hey, then if you play like that in the NCAA tournament, that's your last game. We don't get next week to play 2 next week.
Right.
And that really helped them understand that side of it. And to go 6-2 in February, which is the grind and it's the end. And if you're in a race, you got to be the toughest the end of February. Wherever that race is at, if you can grind those wins and figure out, and then to go 3-0 to start of March, that's the type of things you want from your kids as far as playing hard, competing, and being completely locked in. Because we can make a lot of excuses too. We can say we didn't have Dean, we didn't have Cardi, we didn't have Cam, but we never told our kids that, and we never allowed them to use that as a crutch. Not one time last year did we publicly say, well, if we had Dean, we went to the Final Four. Right. Because we didn't want our kids to think that. And, for whatever it's worth, we finished in first, and so did Texas Tech.
Right.
Texas Tech was going to win our league last year if Evans doesn't get hurt, but nobody's saying that. Nobody's talking about that. But it is what it is. We just told our kids, if they're hurt, keep playing. Somebody step up. Help your brother out, and that's why we finished the league off how we did.
You just expressed how much confidence you shared with your team throughout all this, but I was going to ask about Cardi. If you would have known when he went down he was going to miss, say, the rest of the regular season, and you would go, like you said, 5-1 or 6-2, would that have surprised you? That you guys would be able to manage that and still be basically as good as you were before that injury?
I would. How he was playing at the time. Right. The dunk, which was against Canada. Everybody always remember that play. And how he was playing at the time.
Baylor game too,
and, he was dominant. We're talking about a 10 to 15 point guy off the bench every night for that stretch, and we were a little down and dejected.
Right.
But after that, the guy, they just rallied around. Mike, you got to be better. Sean, you got to get, and older guys, if you got to play more minutes to get us to where we need to go, then that's what it's got to be.
And we'll talk about the seniors for sure, but a couple of those other guys, you mentioned Mike McGurl and the more minutes he took on in that time, and even the last 3 games, Austin Trice providing a spark a couple of times. How about those guys? You've talked about how to accept roles and deal with things changing. I guess talk about them accepting that all year, then coming on late like they did.
Right. Well, the first one is Xavier, because he had a good February. Sure. We needed him to come back and play and score the ball for us like he did. He did in February. We got him back and scoring the basketball like he's capable of doing. But then you have Mike and Austin, who's obviously stepped up in the last 3. You got to have those guys. And, sometimes you lose value in yourself as a player when you're not getting a lot of minutes, and that causes you to lose confidence.
Yeah.
We continuously try to prep them and pep them. All the double P's. You got to be prepped and stay pepped. You got to be happy because, you got to be a happy warrior sometimes on the bench, because you may get a minute in the first half and none in the second. And that's just the way it is with a team like ours and how we're built, and we're older and Coach is going to ride those old guys, and we couldn't have done it without him. Mike was huge in West Virginia, you know, that second half to get us going, and our guys just played really, really hard off the bench. It didn't always result in scoring, but, you know, Coach was that if you can't score it, at least be really good on the defensive side, and that's where you saw us. Our numbers, we put in a boa constrictor. We start strangling people, and we start keeping them way below their averages, and that's something that we take pride in.
I'm shy to ask this next question because I never want to put you or your players in a spot where you have to, you know, not praise your own fans. But was there any part of you guys that preferred going on the road this year and dealing with that and having the target on your back in all these venues, or would you have always rather just been at home?
You know, it was the character building on the road this year was really, really good. And winning on the road is hard. It's not easy. And for us to win 9 in a row and what we did, you can overlook a lot of things, but that's something you can't overlook. We won 9 consecutive Big 12 games in a row. That is very hard in this type of league, and we beat everybody once.
Everyone in the league, yeah.
And that's what's so hard about our league. Not very many people have done that, and that side of it was huge. As far as our fans, like, you know, we want to win, man. Yeah. Home or road, whichever. It's great when the fans are there going crazy. And, you know, the one time that we felt bad was Iowa State. We had a rocking venue, and we didn't play. I mean, when you don't play, you know, you hope your people are in fair weather, and they weren't. They came back even more people the next home game. So that's the good thing about it. And, you know, to see our guys respond, and they love playing in front of crowds. They love playing in Bramlage. And to see where it's gone from their freshman, sophomore year to their junior year to their senior year, and to see how different it is as far as support and embracing them and just being passionate about our team. Those dudes kiss the floor because they love that place. It's not fake, you know. And some people may not like us, and some people may not like our players, but you got to respect what we did for the university, for K-State Nation. Because we brought something back that's been gone a long time, and we won 2 and 7. So, you know, that's huge.
I think the number had been 34 straight years without winning a conference title at K-State, and then 2 of the last 7. I do want to wrap up when we get to it by talking about the seniors and what Saturday really felt like. But people, of course, are very curious about your team going into March. Cardi's missed whatever it is, 5, 6, 7 games. A guy you maybe could have tried to rush back if you guys had wanted to do something like that. But without saying more than Bruce already has, how is he looking heading into maybe this week?
I think we could have, really panicked and tried to play Cardi, but our guys are like, let him get back help. We got it. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, and Cardi is one of those dudes, he's very eccentric, and he'll say something thought-provoking in front of everybody. You'll be like, wow, that was impressive. He said a lot of things to our guys when he wasn't playing, and it was like, that's really deep, you know. And so that lets you know he's engaged to what's going on, even though he's not playing. And when you're a good player and you're not playing, you can do 2 things: you can sulk about it, or you can still be everybody's brother and really try to help them. And that's what's happened with us. Every time our guys been injured on our team, they've been involved with how we win still by what you say to other guys and how do you talk to guys in huddles when the coaches have already said what they need to say to them.
Dean, of course, had a great regular season finale. The release already sent out, questionable for the tournament, so we know that. My question is just how is he handling it himself? You know, with him and his family going through this again. Less about his injury, but more about how he's dealing with it.
Dean's great. Dean's great. You know, if you know, my frustration with Dean is this. When people should have been loving him, they didn't. Now he's gone. He'll never play in Bramlage again. And I said, we've been doing this thing, this coffee stuff, and I said, why in the world do these people not love one of the greatest players to ever play at Kansas State from this state? That was my biggest problem with Dean. He should be embraced and revered as one of the greatest ever to play here. 2-time first team All Big 12. You know, that's hard to do in a league like this. From a small town in Kansas where everybody doubted he could even play here. That's my disappointment. You got to love your players when they're there, because in a short period of time, they are gone. They are gone, and that's buried. Like, those guys, you love them, and now they're gone.
It's crazy when you know how fast it does go. With Dean, I watched that senior video he puts together, and he talks about his favorite memory being the Kentucky game that he didn't play a lot in.
Right.
And then he doesn't give himself a lot of credit for that game. Is he as hard on himself sometimes as that
definitely
comes off? Yeah.
I mean, his favorite game, we were like, Iowa State at Iowa State was unbelievable.
Exactly.
It was big time. He's had several games. Oklahoma at home last year where he went crazy. And, he's had several games where you're just like, when he said to Kentucky, I was like, what?
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
You didn't even play, but everybody knew how big that game was. And him scoring 4 points and whatever, we needed those points.
We've talked about Dean, of course. Cam Stokes, we're talking about injuries. I can't imagine him dealing with migraines as much as he has for the last 3 to 4 games and how he's dealt with that. So I guess I'll ask about how he's doing first with that. Now he's managed it, and then to me, that guy epitomizes a little bit what you guys have dealt with as a program, where I think a lot of stuff got focused on him as a player, as a scapegoat at times, and he overcame it. So I guess how's he doing, physically, and then just what he's done through this stretch.
I mean, Cam's great. Cam was the punching bag a lot,
Right.
He's little, he's small. You can say all these things about him, but what you can't say is that he didn't never give through all those injuries, he did it to get back to play for Kansas State. I mean, Cam was hurt last year when we brought him back, but he wanted to play, and all the things he did, we got to be thankful. He's frail, he's little, but that dude gave everything to this university, to our program. And he is one of the main dudes on our team talking about legacy, acting right, getting on those younger guys about what you're supposed to do in situations, because he knows that those 3 built it.
Right.
And they are so right now, and it's almost kind of crazy. They're so protective of this thing right now that we have. They're so protective, and it's theirs. And even though they're on their way out, they don't want to give it up.
Right.
And that's the thing that's important with him, because his February was fantastic. He was probably our best player in February. He killed it in February, played great. Maybe we thought he would have been on second or third down the stretch, but he got honorable mention, but he was more important to us than honorable mention.
Absolutely. I mean, and with Barry, I don't know another way to ask about Barry at this point. Dean and Cam, of course, would have given anything to be out there every single game. Barry was fortunate enough to be out there for every single game. Just how amazing was his consistency and fighting through all this all year long for you guys.
You got Barry's that kid. You better get strong shoulders, because you're going to have to carry his son. And Barry. He's tough. He epitomizes leadership. He epitomizes growth. He epitomizes player development. Like that dude, everything you want to say about a guy who comes into your program one way and leaves another is Barry.
Yeah.
And every positive accolade you can give a kid as far as leadership, getting better, working on your game, being a great teammate, being focused, playing both sides of the ball. He did that. And there are very few guys who are scorers want to play the other side.
Right.
But he can score, and he loves the other side of the ball. And that's very rare. And, you got to commend him for stepping up and saying, you know what, this is on me, and I'm going to make sure, we go out the right way.
Right. Obviously, we're going to Kansas City this week. You've earned the #1 seed in the Big 12 tournament. Right. A lot of fans will ask questions and just speculate, how do you handle this tournament? You've won the league. I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, do things like, how do you manage health and seeding possibility and trying to win another championship and all those things when you decide, how hard to go for it in a place like KC this week?
Well, number one, we didn't panic. We haven't even really talked to our guys. Coach Weber, I'm not going to tell you how he said it. He says that just go win it.
Right.
It was a different way he told them.
He added a description in there, I imagine, yeah.
And our guys got excited about it because you got to keep them interested, man.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to shut it down. With the confetti and shit flying everywhere, swimming in the confetti, holding a trophy. It's so easy to be like, take a breath and be like, we did it. But we know that's what happened to us in 13. We partied too much. We were too happy. And when the game time came, Coach got on us. Told us, staff didn't get us prepared. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Okay. Yeah. So, we're just looking around. Like me, Chester, and Brad were all here during that. So, he's talking to us. So, it's one of those deals where our guys looked at us like, oh shit, those guys weren't ready.
Right.
But we're gonna be ready this time.
Yeah.
And it's fuel. It's easy to because when we tell Barry something like that, it drives him. And if that drives him, he drives the team. So we're just gonna go and compete. That's all, the way we're gonna look at it. We had no idea that we wouldn't have Barry and Dean last year.
Right.
Excuse me, going to the Kansas game, so we just got to play.
I know you guys already all lived that. You talk about LaSalle and that kind of stuff in 13. In a weird way, does it help having Shane on the staff too? I mean, because he was on a team, who accomplished a ton and then had that happen.
Yeah.
Is he somebody you can relate to the players?
Absolutely,
you think?
and we've related to him.
Yeah.
After Coach said that, Shane talked about it.
Yeah.
Because he called him out too. Not only did he call us out, he called Shane out because he was on the team.
Right.
And and just letting them know, you could play one more game, guys.
Yeah.
When that real stuff after selection Sunday starts, that could be your last game.
Yep.
And so how you approach that is two things. You can be nostalgic about it and worried, or you can be happy to be there, or you can have your shit locked in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's the way. We've been really aggressive with them about being locked in to this tournament.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. I mean, from what you said and what Coach Weber said after the game, he talked immediately about wanting to do more than winning the Big 12 title. But all that said, we haven't really talked about it exactly. Like how special was Saturday? I mean, I know it's going to be it's a loaded question, but I mean, for you personally, how special was it? And then for the guys that you work with.
Well, number one, you got to thank K-State because that was top shelf.
Yeah,
it was top shelf. That was a party. Now that wasn't a celebration. We had a party in Bramlage, and wow, it was special. It was fun. My family getting to take pictures with them on the floor. Was special. Being able to touch the trophy with your kids and your wife, and to just think about, man, this year was hard.
Right.
This year was so hard, and we did this. And for me personally, it was hard because my family immediately drew together, and all we did was we were thankful to be together,
right.
But we're missing one.
Right.
And that was the hardest thing to hold back the emotions from our son has passed away. He's not with us, but we still won a championship, and we still got to, remember him too.
Of course.
And it was hard at first, and that's why I completely stepped away and went away with my family.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the middle of it, right when we won, just because I had to get to them because I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I knew where their minds were going to go. And, that's the beauty of this stuff. Sport can bring families together and all that stuff. And I was just thankful, Kansas State, threw us a hell of a party after we won that game.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Well, I think there's no better way in than that, actually. So I appreciate the time. We'll follow you to Kansas City and, of course, wherever you go, and hopefully talk to you there.
All right, thank you.